much for being here. I know another meeting is not exactly where you want to be on the night of the national championship football game, but I promise I'm a Clemson fan, so we're going to wrap this up after we get some inspiring thoughts from our guest speaker and cover a little bit of business. My name is Ivy Harrison. I'm the new Director of College Counseling here at Augusta Prep. I've been here since July 1st. I feel like I've been here for much longer though. It's been really such a treat to be here at Prep and get to know your students. I feel like I know all of them so well already. That college tour is a really great way to baptize a college counselor by fire. And it's just been a real treat. And I'm particularly excited to spend this entire admissions cycle with them. So the seniors, it's really been a lot about speed dating and getting to know them quickly, writing recommendation letters. But with your sons and daughters, I feel like I've really had a chance to get to know them well already and look forward to getting to know all of you in the coming months. So before I introduce you to tonight's speaker, I want to just go over what's in your folder. I know many of you have already gone through that already, and then also let you know what we'll be speaking about after Ms. Burns finishes up her talk. So first of all, there's a timeline in there. Parents, hopefully you've been reading my parent college counseling newsletters that has a listing of some of the junior college counseling seminars that we've been doing this year. Those will be outlined on the timeline, as well as important dates like testing dates and that kind of thing. There's some testing information from College Board as well as ACT that's just going to give general information about the test registration. PSAT booklets are in there. I'm going to talk more about score reports and how you can access those. It is a new score reporting system this year. It's all online. So I'll give you more information about the details of that after Mrs. Burns talks. But your PSAT booklets that you used in October are in your folder. If your name isn't on it, that means that you didn't write your name on one, so you just got an extra one. But if you put your name on it, hopefully you made some marks in those booklets for yourself. There's also a concordance table for the SAT and ACT scores. This is actually, it's old. It's from the previous SAT. As you may have heard, they have a new SAT out. So that concordance table could change in the coming months, and we expect it to. I don't suspect it's going to change that significantly. And we've had those concordance tables in the office that have been around for many years. And so I felt like that was a good reference for you to have to see, if I made this on the SAT, what could I possibly expect to make on the ACT and vice versa. There is a brochure in there for Naviance Family Connection, which is just a general admission, college counseling kind of tool for you to use, just a great resource. It can guide you through some of the ins and outs of Family Connection, which I'll talk about later as well. There's also a copy of our school profile and a copy of your transcript with, I believe, up to date with fall semester grades. So we'll talk more in detail about transcripts and all that fun stuff after we hear from Ms. Burns. So to introduce our speaker tonight, Ms. Lisa Burns has been in the admissions world for 34 years. Her first job was at Wilmington College, which is a Quaker school north of Cincinnati, where she worked for 5 years. After that, she spent 21 years at Xavier University, a liberal arts college of about 5,000 undergraduate students in Cincinnati, Ohio. There, her role included domestic travel and recruitment. Additionally, she served in the International Admissions Office and managed the Alumni Volunteer Program for a few years. After meeting her husband, David, she moved to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and began working at Sewanee University of the South in 2008. And as the Associate Dean of Admissions, her current responsibilities are the management of the recruitment staff, which includes travel planning, event coordination, and application file review. She spent a great deal of time today doing, wrapping that up. Her empathy runs deeply for parents, as she has helped successfully guide 3 stepchildren through the application process and notes that each of them had their very own journey. When not working at Sewanee, Lisa really enjoys time with her 1.5-year-old grandson, traveling, especially on an annual summer sail in the British Virgin Islands. I will expect an invitation in the future. And time with friends and family who love to visit Chattanooga. She's also involved in a philanthropic women's organization called PEO and is currently serving as president this year. Please give a warm welcome to Ms. Lisa Burns.
Welcome. So there's a football game tonight. I'm a Notre Dame fan. I think yeah, that was the really rainy night, wasn't it? I will move swiftly. My name is at the back of the handout. There was an additional handout with your yellow folders. Hopefully you all have one. I intentionally put space in there to make some comments, perhaps something I say this evening, you can jot it down. My email and my phone number at the back, so anytime you've got follow-up questions. I know my slides say the school that I work for, but I'm really here representing the whole process, so I'm not intending to talk about Swanee, but I would be happy to do that later or via email or phone. Just an idea of what we're going to talk about. I have 12 slides. This is the first one. I think it's always nice to know how long is that person up there going to talk. And I'm not going to read all the slides to you, so when they're up there, I know that you all can read them. I'm just going to make a few comments that I think are helpful for you to think about as you move through this process. So we think about, there are a lot of colleges out there. Take just a moment, hopefully you have something to write with, and just begin to write down the names of the colleges that you know. Just pause for just a moment and start to scribble down names of schools that you know. Sometimes when we do this, maybe all of a sudden start forgetting that you think about 12, 15. There's a lot of schools out there. And we encourage you to think big. Think about schools that maybe aren't on TV tonight playing football, maybe aren't the ones that your favorite cousin went to, maybe aren't the one your parent went to. There's a lot of options out there. The hope is that you will broaden your scope as you begin to look at all the different schools. Does anyone know the most expensive school in the country? It's George Washington University. They tend to always be at the high end of the bar, and then there are schools that you won't pay anything to attend. Not that you should be seeking a school based on just that factor, but it's something to think about. Some schools, you fill out an application, they offer you admission, and you enroll. That would be considered open enrollment. The far end of that continuum would be the most selective school in the country, and that would be Stanford. I think last year their admission rate was 7%. So think about that. You look in this room, all of you applied to Stanford, 7% of you would be offered admission. That's considered very, very selective. Most schools, the school I work at, is considered a selective institution. We admitted 40% of our applicant pool. Many colleges will admit between 50 and 60 of their applicant pool. So it's just something to understand, to know, to find out the schools that you're beginning to look at. And really important, you are in the driver's seat. I'm not planning your college search. Ms. Harrison is not planning your college search. Students, you're in charge of this process. And this is a time in your life where you do have this kind of control, so please plan to take advantage of that. So we always talk about fit. Don't you want to be in a place where you feel comfortable, where you know you're going to be successful, you're going to stretch yourself a little bit, you're going to meet people just like yourself, and then people you wonder where they've been, where they came from, what they're all about. Finding a school where you feel comfortable, similar to how you chose to come to this school. This was a choice to come to this institution for your secondary school education. And what was it about this place that you felt comfortable? You maybe felt a little uncomfortable, but you knew it was going to be okay because there were people here that were going to support you and guide you. So begin to think about those things as you look at different colleges. Ask some of these questions of yourself, students, as you're visiting the schools that you're visiting. If you can't get the answers in a book or on a website, stop some students while you're there and say, you find this place challenging? What do you do for fun? So you want to begin to think about these things when you're spending 4 years on a college campus. If you have your transcripts, please don't share them with the people next to you. Please don't share your test scores with your neighbors. Parents, you don't need to tell your friends, your students' ACT or SAT scores. That's your own business. And you should know what type of student you are and begin to look at the types of institutions you're interested in going to. We all print it on our websites. You've probably been to college fairs, and you have the brochures, and we show you, here's the average GPA, here's the average test score. Begin to think about, are you a student who appears to be admissible to that particular institution? You all have a copy of your profile, don't you, in your packet? Your own high school profile. you want to grab that for a moment and just look at it? Because I think it's important for you to understand, as a college admissions person, we get applications from schools all over the country. Fortunately, we have a relationship with your school. We know your school very well. And many other college admissions representatives do as well. That's why we come and visit. We get to know your counselor. We know students who've come to our institutions from the past. But you might wonder, what if I'm interested in Grinnell College in Iowa? And perhaps no one has gone to Grinnell in the past from here. And you apply, and they're looking at your transcript, and do they really understand what it's all about here at this school? Not the school down the street, not that other school in town that maybe you could have gone to, but your school. So what do we learn from that? So as an admissions person, I printed off the profile because it's on the website, and it actually comes along with every single application that is sent out of this school. It goes to every college where the students apply. I'm going to look and see how many AP courses are available. And then I'm going to look at your transcript and see if there's any on there. I'm going to look at the courses that you've taken in the sciences, in math. On the back, there's this chart that shows what's required here at this school, not at the neighboring school, not in comparison to all the other transcripts I'm looking at, but how you're performing in the context of your high school. So as juniors, this is the most important year. How you finish this junior year is what colleges are going to see. There are about 12 students in your senior class who applied to Sewanee this year. We don't see their senior grades. It's how they finished their junior year. So this year is really a critical time. Don't go home and study tonight or watch the football game, but take advantage of asking for extra help, taking an extra hour, 1 or 2 nights a week, maybe rereading something, going up and talking to one of your teachers, because the grades you receive at the end of this junior year are what are on the transcript that are then going on to the colleges. But understand, we at the admission office are going to look at you in the context of your school. And many times you're one of a couple applications, so we might begin to see, ooh, looks like that chemistry teacher might have been a little tough in that junior year. Or we might see, sometimes a language class, students have sort of similar grades in a French or a Spanish class. So we really understand the high school, and you should expect that of us as admissions people when we're reading applications to really get a sense of what you're all about in the context of your school. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Come up to an admission person like me and ask, what type of GPA are you looking for? Don't ask me what it takes to get in. Don't ask me what the minimum is, but ask perhaps what the middle 50% is of the students that we enroll at my institution. Another great question to ask is, do you recalculate? And what that means is some colleges, not the one that I work at, some colleges will get that high school transcript and they will recalculate and they'll take away any extra weighting for AP or honors. They may take away certain courses. Some schools that are religious affiliated might have a religion class. If you lived in Texas, your transcript would have football as a credit on your transcript. So some colleges will recalculate. That's a fair question to ask an admissions person. How do you evaluate a transcript from a particular high school? So again, you're in charge of this process, and those are great questions to ask. But begin to think about, what does your transcript look like now? And what is the academic profile in a couple of the schools that you're considering? And hopefully you're going to see some good matches. So if you think about how many of you are getting mail from colleges, raise your hand. And keep your hand up if it's from 15 schools. How about 20 schools? And some of you might wish you were getting information from a college and you're like, why aren't they sending me stuff? We don't know about it, so you have to go online and request information. To go to the college fair when they come to your school this fall. Make a phone call and ask to be put on someone's mailing list. And find a way to keep track of all these things as well. I had 2 nieces, and one of them, after she went off to college, we went into her bedroom and she had all of her college brochures from her entire time looking at colleges, sorted very neatly under her bed in piles. The ones by her head were the ones she was most interested in, the ones that never even came out of the envelope. And I think we hauled out about 5 boxes of materials. So begin to look at that information that comes into your school or into your home. Maybe it is a school that you've heard of, don't know much about it. Maybe it isn't a place that you'd like to go. We all love to go to school in Hawaii or go out to Seattle or maybe go to Florida. So think about places and begin to read that information that you're going to see. I would encourage you to look up the Common Application. It is a way that you can apply to a number of colleges. It's not the way you have to apply to every school, but every schools that are part of the Common Application, at least now you can go and you can create an account, and that's new now. As a junior, you can create an account that will live with you into next year, and at least begin to understand what questions they're asking. What am I going to have to know? You're going to have to know basic demographic information. You're going to have to know your parents' information. You're going to begin to list your activities that you're involved in. So it might be a good thing to do to begin to think about what information you're going to have to supply to those colleges. I know you all went on a college tour. I'm hoping that that's one of many times that you visit a particular college. And please schedule ahead of time. We have the sweetest woman that works in our office. Her name is Dolores Snowden. I think she's really 86, but she'll tell you she's 82. She just got married for the ninth time, but only the third man. She divorced and married the same man a couple times. Fascinating woman. But I'll tell you, if you show up at Sewanee and you have not called ahead, in the sweetest way, you will know, I probably should have called ahead. And the reason we want you to do that is we want to welcome you. We want to give you access to faculty, to students, to facilities on campus. Now, Sewanee is not a place, we're located in between Chattanooga and Nashville on a mountaintop, so we're not a place that you just happen to be in town. But if you're in an area and you're like, oh, it's raining and we're in Orlando, why don't we, instead of going to Disney, let's go over and visit Rollins. Well, call ahead and schedule some time, because we want to make ourselves as available to you as we can. And by you making that appointment, that will really help. Please be open. I see this often when we have visit days and we parade the tour guides up in front. There's like 12 students standing up there, and there's this look of horror on the prospective student's face. Like, oh gosh, I hope he's not my tour guide. Or you're looking at that one young lady and you're like, ooh, I hope she's my tour guide. But be open to meeting new students. These are going to be students you might be on that campus with. So have an open mind. Don't immediately say, I didn't like the jacket they were wearing, so now I don't think I like that school. So really try and be open. Some colleges allow you to stay overnight, and ask questions. And ask the same question at every school so you have some great things to compare. And then I always encourage you to spend a little extra time. This is where parents, sometimes students, you have to keep a little control of them, because they'll just randomly go up and start talking to a student or wander into a faculty member's office. And that's okay, because you want to make sure you know about that particular institution. The only one I'm going to read on here is remember who is going to college. Parents get really excited about this process. I think many times we want to kind of relive our college experience, and all of a sudden it becomes bigger than life, and students, you're the ones that are going to sit in class, live in the residence hall, take the exams, compete on the athletic field. So oftentimes, having an opportunity to remember some of that, but the students really need to be the ones involved. But I also want to mention parents can be really helpful in so many ways, and I noticed as I was looking over my notes, there's a typo on this slide, and that's where parents can help too, is to proofread. Right before you hit submit on that essay, let your parents read it. Right before you write a letter to your, asking for information, have your parents help you. I have just a couple words of wisdom that I've collected over the years, and I'm first going to be the voice of a student. And the student is saying, my comment on the college search, a name brand isn't what one should seek. One should look for the college that is most suitable for him or her. The student says to their parent, I'm going to be happy anywhere I go, so you just need to relax. Student says, calm down, Mom. I don't need to travel around the world in 50 states to see 300 colleges. The more stressed you get, the less enjoyable the situation is for me. Please relax. Don't expect to control every aspect of my college search process. Dad, please don't panic when you realize my GPA is not a 4.1. I would love your involvement in the process. Suggesting and encouraging schools is very helpful. Now we're going to be the voice of a parent talking to their student. No matter how immersed you are, or anyone around you for that matter, you become in this process, remember it's your journey toward a destination you have identified. Be open to the counsel and suggestion of those working with you and supporting you, but also stand up for yourself and the goals you have set. Parent to a student, research thoughtfully, visualize candidly, and know unconditionally that wherever you go, that campus and its community will be better for your presence. Parent to student, be honest with yourself about your college expectations. Find a college where you feel comfortable, but don't be afraid to stretch yourself. Most importantly, look forward to college experiences as the transition from young adulthood and the next step in the road to life. Bear in mind that selecting a college is an important decision, but it's not the most important one you'll ever make. And be open to our advice. Spend time with us, enjoying going through this process. I always recommend, 1 hour a week, kitchen table. It doesn't have to be every single day talking about college. So what do we consider? What's important to us? And it's true today, tomorrow at 4 o'clock, we have to be finished with all of our application review for our early action cycle. And so we have reviewed about 2,500 applications, and we have to be finished tomorrow. So I was looking through the last remaining files, and what is most important? What do we consider? And oftentimes I describe ourselves, admissions people describe ourselves as huge jugglers. We have all these different things related to a student's application. And so certainly the application, what you complete, how you define yourself, what information you put down. The secondary school report is what's going to come out of your high school guidance office. Building that relationship, starting as soon as you can get in and have time with your counselor. She does a great job of getting to know you. She's going to write a recommendation about you. She's going to tell us about you in the context of your school. That person, that recommendation will become very helpful. You will submit test scores. Some schools want ACT, some want SAT, some want subject tests. Some schools are test optional. So if you feel your standardized test scores are not a good representation of the kind of work you do, you can apply to an institution, test optional. There's a great website. It's called fairtest.org. FAIR test.org, and you can research all the schools in the country that allow you to apply as a test optional candidate. What are you involved in? What are you passionate about? Well, if I'm inviting students to attend the institution that I work for, I'm inviting them to come live with us for 4 years, to spend time with us, to be part of our family. And so reading about what you do, what your passion is, what you enjoy doing outside of school, in the community, in your church, on a service trip, with a part-time job, with your family, you want to make sure and include all of that in that application. Because that oftentimes is what sort of tips the scale at a selective admission process. Because we're inviting you to come to us to share some of your talents and also then be able to get involved in things that we have on our campus. You'll be asking the teacher to write a recommendation for you, and it's probably a junior year teacher. And who is it going to be? What are they going to say about you? Are they going to tell us that you're a nice young man? Or are they going to tell you that, or are they going to tell us that you ask questions, you turn in your homework, you're willing to help the student in class who might be struggling? They in turn are struggling and they come and ask for some extra help after school. Be sure that teacher knows about you in the context of the school that you're in. And they can write about not just you in the classroom, but you as a citizen at the school. And it most likely will be a junior teacher, so be sure and build that relationship as the remainder of the year proceeds. You'll have to write an essay. Most colleges that are common application, there's one standard essay prompt. Well, there's choices, there's 4 of them. Some colleges will ask for additional essays. I know one year there was a school that had an additional essay, and the question was, where's Waldo? And that was an essay prompt, and you had to write that. That same school the next year just had a box, and it said, tell us what's in that box. And so those essays could involve quite a bit of your time. You have great resources here at your school. Wouldn't it be a good idea to ask your teacher, your English teacher, to maybe review your essay? Talk to your college counselor, who's probably read a few herself, to help prepare to submit that essay. And then your interest in that institution. There are some colleges, I work at one of those, that your interest in us is really an important part of the process. We want to know that you're out there, that you're understanding us, you're engaging with us. So how are you going to show that? Well, perhaps it's when the admission rep visits the school, or when you're on their campus, or you go online and find that the admission rep who covers Augusta, Georgia at Grinnell College is this person, and you email them and say, I'm interested in your school. And so take advantage of showing your interest. And I will tell you just today, there were about 50 files left that I was looking at. And there were about 20 of them that I knew nothing about their interest in Swanee. They appeared to be academically prepared, but I deferred them because we don't know anything about them. Did they just apply because it was free? Do they know anything about us? Were they opening emails? We've been in their schools. Have they been to see us? So if you're interested in a school, please let us know that. That's an important part of the process. But it's probably a good question to ask because there's probably some schools that don't want you calling them, that want you emailing, because they might have such a volume. But a more selective institution that is smaller is probably going to want to see that there's an interest on your side. So an ideal candidate. Don't you want to be that ideal candidate at the institutions that you apply to? So what are you going to present to them? And so there's a list of some things to think about, is how we look at an applicant. It's not just the test score, it's not just the grade point average. You know, the middle range of GPA at Swanee is a 3.4 to a 3.8. And we pull the GPA right off the transcript, we don't recalculate. I have put students with 3.0s in the admission bin. I put a student with a 2.9 in the admission bin. I'm not saying that you all should strive to be 2.9 students. But those students had other things to contribute to the application process. Those students will have other things to contribute to the campus. And so you want to think about what else you're providing to that college admission office to review besides the transcript. You have to work hard. I mentioned that earlier. You really have to finish this junior year. But what are the other things that we're trying to learn about you? And how we're going to learn those is how you've completed that application and the other opportunities we've had to engage with you, whether it's in person, on the phone, through email. And those things will help us as well in the process. So we hear about all different kinds of admission plans, and you'll be presented with all of these as you begin your senior year. But it's important to understand there's something called early decision at some institutions, and they are inviting you to come into their application process early in your senior year. They're offering you admission, and they're expecting you to enroll. And some colleges will fill half of their class with early decision. Swanee admits about a quarter of their class early decision. But those are students who know this is where they want to be. And if there are colleges that you're really serious about, you need to make visits, you need to begin to engage with them, because it happens very quickly in the beginning of your senior year, and it's a big decision to make, so you want to make sure you're prepared for that. And then a few other terms, and that's why you have a great guidance office here who will kind of walk you through these other terms and plans and so forth as you move through the application process next fall. I once was on a panel with an admission rep, and someone asked about scholarship, and she politely said, well, isn't the reward really the admission letter? And then the icing on top of that is the scholarship. I thought that was interesting. Of course, she worked at a school that was very competitive for admission, and they didn't give scholarship money to about 10 of their incoming freshmen. But don't we all want to be considered for scholarship? But understand, is it merit-based or is it need-based? Is there an application? Is there an essay? Is there an interview? Do you have to be recommended by someone at your school? You need to learn all those things because it's going to be different at every single college. I wish it were standardized, but it is different at each institution. And you have to meet deadlines. You have to be on top of those things. And that's where parents can be very helpful, understanding where the deadlines might be, because they could be a different deadline for scholarship versus the deadline for application. Some are going to be based on talent, some are going to be based on an exam, some are going to be based solely on test scores. So make sure you understand that, and again, it's very different at each institution. As you get into your senior year and you have a small group of schools that you're really serious with application, also completing and understanding the scholarship process will be important as well. And there are some schools that are just sending emails to seniors, oh, congratulations, we're going to give you $12,000. And so understand what that all means, and that's where talking with your guidance counselors here, your college counselors can really help you in that particular process. Oh, there is a scanner on here. There is a pointer. So I have reached the end. I don't think it's kickoff time yet, so I'm going to invite Ivy to come up and make her final remarks, and then we'll be available for any questions.
started, I want to give a shout out to Ms. Marsha Vaughn. The students know her and love her, and we can just give her a round of applause for just being amazing. She's been at Pratt for, I think, 12 years, and she has weathered many a storm in the college counseling office and has really kept the ship sailing. And she keeps me in good spirits every day, and I just want you to know how much I appreciate you. So, to get into the really fun stuff, let's talk about transcripts a little bit. I want to preface all of my comments by telling you that a lot of the nitty-gritty that we're going to get into with transcripts and test scores and testing plans is very individualized. So I'm going to go over some general information tonight, but I need you all to understand that in our one-on-one meetings and in our team meetings with students and parents, that's where we're really going to talk a lot of shop and really get into your transcripts and your test scores and what is right for you. And so I really appreciate her advice on, let's not talk to our neighbors about our GPA and our test scores, because it is very personal and y'all are entering into a process that can be extremely stressful. It's an emotional roller coaster for the whole family. And I see my role in the college process as more than anything, keeping the peace and helping you through this and making sure that you are utilizing the resources that are available to you, and that I'm helping you as much as I can so that you enter the process confident and you come out really, really excited in May of your senior year. So when we look at a transcript, I just want you to see, and you've got your transcript in front of you, so this is just for reference up here, what a college is going to see when you apply in the fall. They're going to have your course grades for freshman through junior year, and then they're going to have a listing of your senior year courses. So we get wrapped up in the talk about GPA and calculating GPA a lot, and what I want to do is really encourage you to look at your earned grades in a class, because as Ms. Burns mentioned, some schools, many colleges do recalculate your GPA and only look at those core classes. They may not weight AP and honors the way we do. And so I think it's really important to understand where you stand academically. They'll say you're not going to lose weight if you don't know how much you weigh. You're not going to make money if you don't know how much is in your bank account. So know what your grades are. Know what your academic record looks like. And look at those earned grades for the final year to really get a good sense of where you are as a student. Are you an AB student, around a 3.0, and higher? We can talk about that sort of thing. So look at those earned grades in the classroom. On the right-hand side, down at the bottom, you'll notice that we have calculated a 100-point scale GPA. We also calculate, beginning this year, a 4.0 scale GPA based on our weighting, which when a college receives our transcript and our school profile, they have a complete explanation of our grading scale, how we weight APs and honors classes, and then they also have the option to use the 100-point or the 4.0, because there are schools out there that will take that 4.0 converted GPA straight from our transcript and use that in their process, not recalculating and taking out, the chorus class and that sort of thing. So we give them that option. If a school is going to recalculate, I personally worked in an admission office where a lot of my job was sitting there recalculating GPAs, taking out core classes and converting to a 4.0, and giving weight to honors and AP courses. So we'll talk about that one-on-one when we get into your particular transcript, but I just want you to see yours. The other thing is make sure that when you look at your transcript that there are no errors on there. We just really want to make sure that everything is pristine as it goes out, so y'all can be a great second set of eyes on that. This truly, your academic record, your GPA, your course rigor, those are the most important things for a school to see where you stand academically and if you're going to be successful. And as Ms. Burns mentioned, there are some schools that are test optional, and they want to see that this is what you're doing every day, and maybe that one Saturday, once a month, isn't the best place to gauge your academic capability. I also want to point out that the 4.0 GPA that we list here is not the HOPE GPA. That is something that Ms. Vaughn is actually in process right now with submitting senior transcripts to the Georgia Student Finance Commission and they have a different scale and a listing of courses and weighting they accept, the HOPE GPA. So that's a totally different process, so we don't want you to just assume that as your HOPE GPA. We can talk about that specifically in your one-on-one meetings as well. Again, as Ms. Burns mentioned, this semester is so important. I can't tell you how many times I have watched juniors and even seniors in the fall of their senior year really turn it around and show a sense of growth and maturity, especially in academics. And that can really reflect in your grades and your classes. If, for instance, in the fall, if you were deferred from a school in an early action round and they put you in that regular decision pool, a great way to show them that you're really working hard and you've added rigor in your senior year, maybe taken your first AP class, is showing in those fall term grades, which we will send to all of the colleges to which you apply, and let them see that you're really doing it. That's a great way to advocate for yourself. So the best thing that you can do with regard to your grades is just to keep pushing and realize that it's not too late. So with regard to testing, as I mentioned, there's this rumor on the street that there's a new SAT in town. The juniors all took the PSAT, which was a new redesigned PSAT, or practice for the new SAT. So there has been a whole new SAT, PSAT, and score reporting system. So in the past, you used to probably get a packet mailed home with your test booklet and your paper score report. This year it was completely changed, and last week they opened PSAT's test scores online. The only way to get them at this point is we have a copy of your test scores just via spreadsheet. Ms. Vaughn has actually entered all those into Naviance, into your Family Connection account. So you can access your test scores through your Family Connection. You can just see them. Or if you create an account on College Board, which you should do anyway, that's where you're going to register for the SAT. You'll receive AP exam scores there. Once you create that account, College Board will link your new PSAT scores up to your account. It takes a day or so. So there is some lapse in time. How many of y'all, raise your hand, students, if you have created your account, logged in, you've seen your PSAT scores? Okay. And from those of you I've talked to, the score report seems to be pretty self-explanatory. I have a copy of what the paper example that they've given us will look like. We will be getting paper copies of the PSAT score reports to the school, hopefully 2 copies. One we'll send home to you and one we'll keep for your files, that look just like this, and likely a lot like the reports from last year. So we will have those paper reports, but this is what it looks like online. It gives your scaled scores. They are going back to a 1600 scale on the SAT, so it's called evidence-based reading and writing in your math section, and so your PSAT is reflective of that. So they're going to give you your evidence-based reading and writing score, and then your math score, and then your total score. When you see that total score, they are predicting that your first SAT, had you taken the SAT that day, that your SAT score would be plus or minus 40 points. So if you scored a 1060 on the PSAT, you can expect your first SAT to potentially be between a 1020 and an 1100. So again, we will go over these, and hopefully by the time we have our team meetings, we'll have all of these score reports in and ready to go. One of the exciting things about the new PSAT and with the changes at College Board is that Khan Academy has partnered with College Board. So once you set up your account, you get your scores, there are going to be easy ways for you to link your account to Khan Academy. Khan Academy will then give you personalized test prep for free to help you understand the areas where you need to work and work you through that. Additionally, in your packet, you have your test booklet that you used in October. Your score report also has a listing of, I'll show you what it looks like. Similar to in the past, they give you the whole answer key. What you answered, if that was wrong, what the correct answer is. So these are resources that are free. They are right there. If there's no better way to practice and prep for a test, I don't know what better way there is. So it's about having that discipline to sit down and make that happen. So in March, they will launch the first new redesigned SAT. I will say that the test score reports will not be back for that first test. They are predicting late May or June. So you're not going to have access to those scores to really see how you did on that first one until later in the spring. But again, we will work together in our individual meetings to make sure that we're planning a testing calendar for you that best suits your needs and where you need to be. I encourage students to try both the ACT and SAT at first to get a sense of maybe what test is more appropriate for you. If you're scoring pretty equivalent on the SAT, ACT concordance table between the SAT and ACT, then maybe you choose which one you feel more comfortable taking. And that's going to vary for everyone. And so that's another reason why I think it's important to keep this conversation close and within our individual families, because what your best friend does through their testing timeline may not be what you do. And that incites panic in teenagers and students. I have teenagers run into my office all the time in a panic because they heard so-and-so's doing this or that, and that's been advised based on that student and not based on them. And so that's one of the ways that I hope that we can work together to kind of navigate this process in a healthy way. Another thing, family connection, which you'll hear me use family connection and Naviance kind of interchangeably. Family connection is your side of that website and that portal. It can be a very valuable resource tool. I want to personally thank all of you who came to my training sessions on family connection. I offered several different sessions, and I had some takers on that. And I think those of you who came, we felt like we had a really great conversation, and they felt better when they left. There are great research tools on there to research and build a college list. There is a section in the Family Connection that's called Colleges I'm Interested in, and that's going to be the student's long list. That's where you're going to see in our one-on-one meetings where I'm going to sit down and add schools to that list based on my meetings with your students and my research to see what is a good fit, and I'm just going to throw schools on there for y'all to use that as your go-to, to go click on that link and go do some research. So please be sure to make sure that you can log in. If you are having any trouble registering with that, please contact Ms. Vaughn or me, and we can make sure that you're all set up, your email's correct, and that sort of thing. Oh, sorry, I missed this slide. This is just an interesting concordance table that up on the screen you can't even see the score, so it's kind of useless at this point. But this is just an example of, let's say your new PSAT score is lower than your higher ACT score later in the spring. It's going to give us a sense of, which test you might favor. So it's kind of irrelevant because you can't even see the light blue numbers at the bottom. But you'll see that again in my office during our one-on-one meetings. So this is Family Connection. One of the things I just wanted to show you, which I think is a really valuable tool in assessing admissibility, is the scattergrams. It's not something that you can access from your accounts, but in our meetings, we will access scattergrams together, and it's a great visual to get a sense of the students from Augusta Prep who've applied to certain schools and what your likelihood for admission is. What is our average admit rate? What is our average admitted SAT or ACT score, GPA from that school? And so it gives a good sense, as Mrs. Burns mentioned, you're being reviewed within the context of Augusta Prep, and so how can we assess that admissibility based on those things? So that's kind of what a scattergram looks like. So on Family Connection, in addition to the research and building a list, there are also you have some homework that I need you to do. If you go to the About Me section of Family Connection, this will all make sense once you get in there. There is a parent survey in the Parents portal, and students, you have a student survey in your portal. Hopefully you picked up a pink piece of paper. Did you put them in the folders today? Are they in there? Did y'all get a pink piece of paper? Okay. We'll check. Before you leave, we'll make sure it's out there. There is a parent questionnaire. I printed out copies too because I know sometimes people like to write it. I like to have a piece of paper in my hand. So we have parent questionnaires that you can take with you and return to the office. But if you can log into Family Connection, you'll be able to access that. Parents, it is a valuable, valuable thing to me to learn your perspective on your child. Those points that are places where you're really proud of the growth that they've made in the last several years. You know them better than anyone, whether they want to admit that or not. And so your opinion, your anecdote is really, really important to me, and this is a great place for you to really shine in this process and help me out. I have been known to quote parents in recommendation letters, and I just think it's a really valuable way for me to get to know your kids. Additionally, students, you have a survey in your Family Connection account, which you will be responsible for completing as well. So I just encourage you to help me help you. Additionally, as you hopefully know, the sophomores and juniors all completed youth science profiles. And youth science is a new tool that we're using this year. I've been really pleased with my own results and with the feedback that I've gotten from many of the students who have completed it. Oftentimes I've found in my college counseling sessions that students don't really know themselves. We're asking them to write essays about what they've learned, or a way that they've overcome failure, and they just really seem to know we only know ourselves in the context of what other people have told us, or what we hear in the media. And so youth science has been a really valuable place for us to start this conversation about aptitudes and strengths, and really building on that. My strengths and Ms. Vaughn's strengths are very different, and that's why we make a good team. And I utilize her to help me in areas of weakness, of my own weakness. And so that's where I hope youth science can come in and help give you the confidence to, chase after those things that really might be great fits for you within a career. It helps you kind of assess what careers might be good fits for you, and then what majors you might want to look after when it comes to the college search. So I'm looking forward to utilizing youth science in those conversations, and if you haven't completed it, I think there are only 10 of you who haven't finished it yet. So I encourage you to get that done as soon as you can. So we have a really busy spring. It can be sometimes overwhelming. Again, I encourage you to utilize me as much as you can. And my hope is that we're breaking this down piece by piece so it's not so much at one time, especially when we get back for senior year. Communication is key. Parents, I have been sending you a monthly newsletter with up-to-date, looking to the future, what we're doing with our junior college counseling seminars, and just helpful information. And I would beg you to please read it. I spend a lot of time trying to put those together, and so it's really important information for you to equip yourself with and to help your kids through this process. I think sometimes when you have that information at hand, it can diminish the stress that you might feel and the anxiety you might feel in the process. So the junior college counseling seminars are monthly. We do those during the student study hall period, so we take out one whole day, and then each junior comes to us during study hall, and we teach those courses, and we're breaking it down. So the next seminar that we're going to have is on building a resume. We're actually going to get that started. Another one, as she mentioned, is the Common Application. This year, y'all are lucky enough to be the first class who can open the Common App and not have it disappear on August 1st when you start your senior year. So we're going to get started on that, and we actually have an application boot camp that we'll do at the end of the summer that will help you even get started even further when it gets down to the nitty-gritty of actually starting those applications. I'm going to ask all juniors need to have a one-on-one meeting with me. I love these meetings because it's a chance for us to really get to know each other and really to kind of dig deeply and understand what your hopes and desires are. It can be a little bit uncomfortable because I'm going to ask you questions that might unsettle you a little bit and push you kind of beyond the things that you've thought about in the past. So I want you to all be sure to come by our office. You need to have these meetings scheduled by winter break, which is February 18th. So that will be a one-on-one meeting with your students and me and Ms. Vaughn. So I guess two-on-one. And then after we have a one-on-one meeting, I will ask parents to schedule a meeting, a team meeting. So that will be student and parents coming in. And that's where we're really going to make sure we're all on the same page, help facilitate that conversation, make sure that we're planning for the next few months and into the senior year, and make sure that everyone's doing what they need to do to be ready for the fall. One thing on the timeline that I'll also mention, and I just want to say this in advance, we'll give you more information on this later, but the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid, another perk of being the class of 2017, is that the FAFSA is opening up early for you as well. So, in the past and currently, the FAFSA does not open until January 1st of your senior year. And that is the form that you would is required by colleges for you to complete to receive any kind of need-based federal aid. There are additional forms, we'll go over that in a financial aid session later. But the FAFSA now, instead of waiting until January 1 of your senior year, you will actually be able, parents, to open that in October of this year. So simultaneously to your children doing their college applications, you'll get to do the FAFSA. So maybe keep everybody occupied. So that's another way that you can help your students through this process. So I just want to put that out there. It opens then, that doesn't mean you have to have it done then, but you're going to be using prior year tax data, which is the reason why it is going to be opening a little bit earlier. So put that little seed in your brain, and you'll receive more information on that very soon. I loved her advice, so I'm going to skip a lot of my last page, and because it's like 7:59 right now. So I'm going to skip that because I think it was such sage and valuable advice, and I love that it came from students and parents. I think that is incredibly valuable. I also want to point you in the direction of Georgia Tech. Rick Clark is the director of admission at Georgia Tech, and Lisa and Marcia and I know him very well. He's hilarious and just so down to earth and a really, really great guy. And he has a really great blog. So if you Google anything in the next week, Google Rick Clark Georgia Tech blog. You can go on their admissions website and go to their admissions blog. And go back to October of 2015 and read some of the family, I think it's called Family Values or something. And he talks about that. Cutting out, finding an hour or 2 hours where that's where you're going to talk about it. Parents, how many times have you had friends or friends' parents in your lifetime say, when are you getting married? Oh, when are you having a baby? Oh, where's your baby going to kindergarten? That's what they're feeling right now with the college. So juniors, this is where it all begins, this college conversation. And it's all that you're going to hear over the next year and a half. So I encourage you, again, to find that. He calls it a safe place, the safe space, safe place, where you cut out 2 hours. And if anybody asks, or Mom, how do you want that essay? You say, safe space, safe place. We'll talk about it on Sunday at 2, or whenever it might be for you and your family. And these are ways that you can take care of each other. I think that is incredibly important and something that a lot of people lose sight of in the process, that our students are already stressed as it is, and we need to take care of them. Students, I wanted to encourage you to engage in the programming, be present in assembly when we're making announcements, be leaders for the 9th and 10th graders who are coming up behind you as you begin this journey. You can be great role models for them in this process. And I promise you that if you engage and you walk with us as we lead you along, you're going to have an incredibly rewarding experience in this process. I love it when students come to me at the end and say, that was fun. It was a lot of work, you did a lot of research at the beginning, but when you arm yourself with the resources that are just at your fingertips and you do the research on your own, you're going to find you're going to have so much pride in yourself, and you're going to be so happy with the decision that you make in the end because you've taken ownership of the process. So, as a Clemson fan, I can't believe that the one quote that I found was a Bear Bryant quote, but I'm going to go for it, okay? So, just to echo that note, it's not the will to win, but the will to prepare that makes the difference. And I really want to encourage all of you to take ownership and realize you're doing this for yourself, and it's really going to be an even better experience if you prepare yourself for the journey. So before we go, I want to thank our guest. A little bird told me that you love cookbooks, and today I found out that it is actually Miss Burns' 13th wedding anniversary. Your husband's not about to walk in, so don't worry about that. It is her 13th wedding anniversary today, and that one of the first dates that he took her on was the Masters. So, it all just kind of came together. And I want you to also make my Clemson tribute in the orange bow. But we got you the Tea Time at the Masters cookbook to thank you for spending your time with us, your anniversary with us. She's been on a trip. She's been in Tampa, Florida for the last couple of days working with students down there. And we just really appreciate you taking the time to share your time and energy with us and your advice. We just can't thank you enough. So please accept that. And then before I let you go, Mr. Hustis has a quick announcement. I'll bring the mic down to you so that he doesn't need it.
He squarely people at football. First, all right. Real quickly, I want to talk to you. I promise. I want to talk to you a little bit about what we would consider our college counseling philosophy here at Prep. I think Ms. Harrison and Vaughn would agree with me. If I had to sum it up in 2 words, it would be real simple, and that is good fit. So we are incredibly proud of the list of schools that the current senior class is getting into. We love the fact that students are going to head off to Harvard, Princeton, Columbia, and all these wonderful places, UGA, and all of the other scores of schools that people are going to be going to. Not because U.S. World News Report ranks them someplace. They're important schools to us because they're important schools to our students. The only reason it's going to be a great fit to go off to school A, B, or C is because we've worked with you to find out that it's a real fit. Ms. Burns shared with us on one of the slides that there are 3,000 plus accredited colleges here in the U.S. And it's our philosophy that to help you find a good fit, we have to cast as wide a net as we possibly can. So I'm going to encourage you to go even beyond the good old United States of America. Not that I'm biased being Canadian or anything, but I do want you to think even wider. So what we're going to do is to help you with that process. In 2 weeks from tonight, so on January 25th, we are going to welcome a gentleman who actually works at the college that I went to just outside Montreal for my undergraduate work, and he represents the United States recruitment for Canadian colleges. So I would encourage any of you who are interested in broadening your horizons a little bit to join us 2 weeks from tonight. We're going to be over in the library, so a little smaller, more intimate, but Eddie Pomacala will be here to talk to you about the process, what it looks like to apply, what it looks like to go to a college in Canada. Again, not that I'm biased, but there are some great colleges north of the border. And mom and dad, if you haven't checked the Canadian exchange rate lately, college would be 30% off going north of the border too. So there is that. So I'd encourage you to be here with us that Monday night. And again, on behalf of the school, I'd like to thank Ms. Burns for being here with us tonight, and to remind you, as a signal of your agreement that this is a partnership, as we work with students to find that good fit, we thank you for being here tonight, and I'll remind you, we've got experts in the office. We've got Ms. Harrison and Ms. Vaughn that are there and willing to help, so please take advantage of those resources. Thank you for being here tonight, and enjoy the game.